Hey, it's Makayla. Today I'm sharing 8 stunning DIY wall art created by an interior designer, including foam board art, textured art, fabric art, and acrylic painting art. These are easy and affordable to make while still looking like high-end designer pieces. Let's dive into it. I wanted to create huge art above the piano in my living room. These were my inspirations. I always start my artwork with a rough sketch before building anything. At first, I couldn't come up with anything perfect, so I just drew random shapes on paper, cut them out, and rearranged them to try different compositions. After I decided on the shape, I drew it on a large piece of paper. And taped it to the wall to see the actual scale. By the way, if you have a grand piano and need to move it around, there's something called a grand piano transport coasters. With these, I can move my grand piano very easily by myself. At first, I planned to use foam boards, but when I was looking at the packaging from Hulala Home, I was like, wait, this is it. I used the papers as a template when tracing the shape onto foam board. So I got this new craft tool. It basically melts plastic with heat. Let's see how it goes. I'm a little nervous. It was a bit difficult to get a perfectly straight cut with this tool. I think I could have had more control if I had placed it on the table while cutting. But I actually wanted a rough stone-like shape, so I ended up liking the uneven edges. However, it was a little too rough, so I decided to sand it down. This sanding block is made of sponge, so it's great for creating soft curves. When you wrap sandpaper around it and rub, it sands material quite roughly. But for finer sanding, I soak the sandpaper in water and sand it gently without the sanding block. I used 400 to 800 grit sandpaper. You can see how the sanded side has a softer curve now. I wanted to keep a slightly rough, organic look, so I didn't sand it perfectly smooth. I stopped at a certain point on purpose, since any misalignment would ruin the shape. I placed the paper template underneath and carefully layered the pieces on top. I used construction adhesive to connect the pieces together. Some type of construction adhesive can melt plastic, but this one works for foam board, so I went ahead and used it. I filled the seams of the foam board with spackle. Since I'll be adding texture on top, I first applied a base coat to prevent the foam board from absorbing it. For the base, I used a 1-to-1 mixture of glue and water. After letting it dry for about a day, I started applying the texture. The ratio of the texture depends on the look you're going for, but I mixed plaster of Paris with glue and water in a 2-to-1-to-1 ratio. Then added white acrylic paint at about 30 to 50%. It hardens quickly, so I kept it in a container with a lid while working. I wanted an organic textured surface, so I applied it by moving the brush randomly. It started to look very stone-like. After letting it dry for another day, I moved on to painting. I wanted to create a limestone-like finish, but honestly, I had no idea how to do it. So I tested on the leftover piece of foam board with texture on it. Since the base already had white acrylic mixed in, I layered a color called unbleached titanium. This soft, elegant beige diluted 1:1 with water. At first, it didn't turn out very well. So I prepared 3 mixtures. The unbleached titanium straight from tube, a mix of unbleached titanium and white, and plain white. I also had a cup of water and lightly dampened my brush to blend everything, and that's when it started to work. The key is to first apply the mix of unbleached titanium and white randomly, then layer plain white once it's slightly dry. Add touches of unbleached titanium here and there, and then gently blend the edges with a slightly wet brush. Be careful not to overblend, or it will turn into a flat color. It turned out really beautiful in the end. I attached a leftover MDF board to the back of the artwork using construction adhesive. Then I added hardware and wire so I could hang it on the wall. I threaded a long string through the hooks and tied it in a bow at the top. This way I could easily see where the hooks were when hanging it. I'm scared to hang this art. Let's keep fingers crossed. I was honestly surprised by how it turned out. The texture, color, and shape came out exactly how I had imagined. Since the foam board was free and I used leftover plaster of Paris and MDF board, the only cost was basically the paint, glue, and hardware.
By the way, I'm so very excited to announce that this is my very first YouTube sponsorship, and today's video is sponsored by SCENTVISTA.
SCENTVISTA is a US-based company that works with the same suppliers used by some of the world's top designer fragrance houses. If you ever wanted to make your own custom fragrance, well, now you can with their DIY Fragrance Kit. You can choose 4 scents from 15 different scent options. I'm so excited to receive the box. The DIY kit is designed so well. It includes 4 12ml designer scent bottles, 12 pipettes, 40 scent cards, 40 scent swabs, 2 20ml spray bottles, 4 scent strips, fragrance labels, and 4 recipe note cards. Everything you need. It's very simple and easy to do. Place the scents you like onto the scent card and mix them with the swab. Write your favorite recipe on the note card so you can remember it later. I wanted to try many different recipes, so I made smaller amounts each time. Once you decide on your blend, use the pipettes to add the fragrance into the spray bottle and shake well to mix. It also comes with labels so you can give your custom fragrance your own special name. I ended up making apple, orchard, and vanilla, and also grapefruit and exotic lychee. I'm so in love with the original scents. They are sweet, fruity, and so luxurious. I dropped a few drops onto a cotton pad and placed it in the bathroom, and it smelled so amazing all day long. They only have a limited amount kits left, and you can save 10% by using the discount code Makayla10. But be careful, it's spelled Makayla10. So if you want to create your own custom fragrance, don't miss this opportunity. The information is in the description of today's video.
This is literally so crazy because I was researching how to make my own room custom fragrance. Because you know, like every time I buy room fragrance, you never know how it smells like until you open the package, right? And even if you like the smell goes away like after 3 days sometimes, and I was so stressed. So I researched how to make my own room fragrance, and 2 days later, this company reached me out and they said they wanted to sponsor my video. I was just like, what? So I immediately said yes. Since I received the bottles from them, my whole entire house smells so amazing. So yeah, I literally manifested it.
I first cut the MDF board into a square and marked the center and cut it into a circle with a router. Then I cut the circle in half. You could just use a sheet of nice wood, but since I had a lot of leftover MDF, I decided to use it and apply ash veneer to it. I applied wood glue on the back side of the veneer using a paint roller. Then I applied it with an iron after it got dried. I put a paper bag over the veneer to prevent it from burning. Then I ironed ash veneer edge band sanding on the side. I filled tiny gaps between the veneer and MDF with stainable wood filler. I sanded it after the filler got dried. Then I stained it with oil stain. To make the texture part, I mixed water and white glue and soaked a piece of thick fabric in it. I placed the fabric on the other half of the circle MDF board and made wavy shapes. It takes time for the fabric to harden, so you can redo it if you don't like what you made. After it got dried, I trimmed the excess fabric and stapled it in the back. I screwed the bracket on the back side to connect two half circles. Then I put masking tape on the wooden part for protection. I mixed water, plaster of Paris, white glue, and white paint to make texture paste. Then I applied the paste to the fabric with a paintbrush. Here's the result. This is seriously my most favorite art that I've ever made. I am happy I used the real wood veneer, and the texture is exactly what I described in my head. It looks just so perfect. And I placed the decor pieces on the top of the drawers. Now let me show you how the piano space turned out. This is seriously gorgeous, even better than I imagined. It all came together so beautifully with the shape of the grand piano. I always start from drawing design on a paper. Instead of applying spackle directly on the canvas, I wanted to use foam board to create some shapes and glue them on the canvas, then apply spackle on the foam boards. So I randomly drew many different shapes on the paper many times until I create design I like. I wanted to create textured art with mid-century vibe in it, and this is the design I came up with. Here are the materials I used in this project. I'll leave the links to all the products down below so you don't have to take notes. 36 by 36 canvas, 2 of them. 18 by 24 foam board with 3/16 inch thickness. I think I used 3 packages. Hot glue gun and sticks. If you're a DIY lover, you probably already know Gorilla Hot Glue is really the best. It holds really strongly. Lightweight spackling paste. Cake scraper set and piping bag. If you're good at decorating cake, you would be successful in this project. But please don't worry if you're not, because I am actually not either. Your favorite paint. I used Bear's Snow White Matte. Sandpapers and disposal gloves, and spoon and fork that you don't mind throwing away. I first drew lines on canvases with a pencil 1.5 inch away from the edges. To draw curved lines, I gathered round items I had in my house, which were my hat, a pan lid, and flower hoops I used for a different DIY project, and a side table. After I drew all the shapes, I put a foam board on a canvas and marked where I needed to cut. Then I cut the board with a craft knife. Cutting curved lines is easier than it looks if you do it very slowly. I wanted to make the shapes with 3-dimensional and uneven surfaces. So instead of using only 1 sheet of foam board, I glued 2 sheets or 3 sheets to increase the thickness for some parts. Then I glued them on canvases. Here are the parts with 1 sheet. And here are the parts with 2 sheets. And here are the parts with 3 sheets. I hung canvases on the wall to see how it looked, and I thought I already liked it. Before applying spackle, I actually first applied some sort of concrete stuff. My favorite YouTuber showed how to create feather concrete touch. I thought it was very cool, so I tried it, but it seemed like I got a wrong product and it became very weird. So after it got dried, I ended up smashing it with a hammer. So I warn you, make sure to get exactly the same product, not a similar one, because outcome could be very different. That's why the board and canvas look a bit dirty. But anyway, I decided to change the direction and apply the spackle on it. For most of the parts, I first spread it with a flat cake scraper and made the surface as clean as possible. I recommend wiping the spackle with another hand and clean the scraper after each stroke so it wouldn't make the surface messy. For this texture, I used a scraper that has jagged edge. This style has been very popular among many DIY YouTubers, so you have probably seen it already many times. It gets difficult to create curved line when it becomes narrow, so I had to redo it a couple of times, and I ended up creating only straight lines inside of the big curves. For this texture, I made a flat surface first, and then I used the side of flat scraper and kind of scraped the spackle randomly. I think you can create this with a palette knife if you have one. For this one again, I made a flat surface first, then I used smaller flat scraper and slided it and spread the spackle. For this one, I didn't create flat surface, but I put the spackle in the piping bag and squeezed out thin lines directly on the board. I didn't use any piping tip, I just cut off the tip of the piping bag. I fixed lines a bit using the barbecue skewer and my finger. Next texture is similar to the first one, but I used a fork to create thinner lines. If you're making this texture, I recommend creating a very thin flat surface first, otherwise the spackle can get gouged when making lines. I had to redo it many times because of this. After a couple of attempts, I figured out creating kind of dotted lines is easier than straight lines. Or you can add a little bit of warm water and make the spackle a little more moisture so it would be easier to create lines. But please note that it'll take longer to get dried. For this texture, I made the surface a little thicker and used a spoon and made tiny curved lines. I needed a clean hand for this texture. I practiced the stroke a couple of times and look at this, it's so satisfying. I also added a couple of lines next to the first stroke. For this one, I didn't create a flat surface on purpose and kind of created a messy one first. Then I used a flat scraper again and created thick vertical lines. It kind of looks like vintage bricks and I liked it first. But the next day, I looked at the whole thing and I thought it looked a little too busy and too much. So I decided to sand the part and created a new texture. For the new texture, I first created a very thin surface and let it dry for a couple of hours. After that, I stuffed the spackle in the piping bag. I gave it a nice massage to let the air out. I wanted to create thinner lines and I tested on a piece of cardboard. Then I started piping little by little, very slowly. I used a bamboo skewer and my finger to fix the part I messed up. It took a long time to finish, but I ended up enjoying creating this texture the most. After I let it dry for a day, I sanded the edges and surfaces. The spackle doesn't get as hard as stone. It remains somewhat soft, even after it gets dried. So I recommend sanding slowly and softly, otherwise textures could get ruined. I also used diagonal pliers to trim the edges. When I was sanding, a small piping part came off, so I used crazy glue to fix it. This is my favorite glue from Japanese dollar store Daiso. Well, it's $1.75 now. But you know, it often happens the cap of the tube gets stuck after glue dries and you can't use it anymore. But since this one is so small, you can use all the glue per use and use a new one for a new project. I really love it. After that, I painted all the parts. Since the design is pretty busy with different patterns, I painted with only one color, which is white. I apologize I don't have any footage of how I made a floating frame, but let me explain it quickly. I used 4 pieces of pine wood, cut the corners diagonal, glued them together and applied oil stain with walnut color. Using corner clamps was very helpful. I'll leave the link to the product down below. I stapled in the back for extra support. I was going to glue other pieces of wood inside of the frame, but unfortunately the lumber shop made a mistake and cut the wrong size. I didn't have time to go back there, so I attached the brackets on the back side of the canvas. I recommend placing pieces of wood under the frame when you attach the brackets, so that the artwork wouldn't be damaged on the floor. When I hung it on the wall, I didn't like the brackets being visible, so I painted the brackets with the same color of the wall and attached them again. Finally, everything is done. I was searching for a piece of textile art for my dining room, but I couldn't find anything I really liked, and it's very pricey. This one is about $1,000, and this one's almost $2,000. I wanted to have something like this with clean lines in mid-century style, but this is an oil painting. So I decided to make a textile one myself.
First, it's very important for me to brainstorm design ideas on paper.
The result is always better for me than just improvising with actual materials. After I almost completed the design, I headed for a fabric store. If you live in the US, Joann is the easiest option to find fabrics. Of course, there are many fancier and more interesting fabric stores, but for basic fabrics, I think Joann is the great place to shop. If you happen to live in Los Angeles, check out the one in Torrance. It is gigantic. If you want to hunt something fancier, did you know that the fabric store called Mood Fabrics that appeared on Project Runaways located in New York, Los Angeles, and also Miami? You could try there if you live in that area. If not, you could try local stores that specialize in home fabric, because home fabric is usually sturdier, thicker, and non-stretch. Anyway, these are the fabrics I chose at Joann. I recommend choosing fabrics with different textures, especially if you want to go for a monotone color palette, so they would create a more interesting look together.
Then I made miniature versions to see how the fabrics look together. It was really fun to do.
I played it around and made similar versions. And this is the version I finally chose.
Now let me show you the other materials and tools you need for this project. I'll leave all the links to the products down below so you don't have to take note.
Multi-purpose spray adhesive. Fabric adhesive for hems and trims. Scissors. I strongly recommend using fabric scissors. Stationary scissors might not make a clean cut. Since this is no-sew project, the edges of fabric will be exposed, so you want to make sure to make a clean cut with fabric scissors. Ruler or any other tools to draw straight lines. Triangle ruler is extremely useful for accurate vertical and horizontal lines. Not only for this project, but for many DIY projects. I'll leave the links to a couple of good options. Any tools to draw curved lines. I simply used cooking bowls and lids, but there are good tools to draw curved lines, so you could definitely use those. For an art frame and a foundation to glue fabrics, I reused the printed art I had. It came with the frame, so I took out the art and decided to use the board and frame. If you are purchasing the board, I recommend choosing a foam board. I also found these art frames on Amazon, so check the links down below.
Finally, let's move on to the creating part.
Before gluing fabrics, I drew lines on the board to see how it looked. I didn't make specific dimensions, but I kept checking with the design I made on paper and the miniature version to make sure the balance was the same. Make sure to iron all the fabrics before cutting. I'm sure nobody wants to see wrinkles on your art. Here's how to glue fabrics. Spray the spray adhesive in the back side of the fabric and glue it on the board. I do not recommend tube type of fabric for the main parts as it would create bumpy surfaces. I recommend putting a cover over your desk and the floor, otherwise they would get very sticky. And make sure windows are open for air circulation, or you can do it outside. Depending on the fabric, but it will most likely be fraying. That's when you use the fabric adhesive. It will be transparent when it gets dried. I use this woven fabric and the edges become pretty messy when it's cut. To make it look clean, I pulled out the threads and glued them on the edges. And for these lines, I decided to use ribbon instead of the fabric. So I went back to Joann and got the suede ribbon. I used the fabric adhesive to glue the ribbon. I used the triangle ruler and the clear sheet to make sure the ribbons are aligned straight. Then I put the completed art into the canvas. I stapled on the side of the frame and screwed the wire back into place.
Alright, are you ready for the result? Here's the final look.
I am obsessed. This is exactly what I wanted to create. Monotone textile abstract art with mid-century vibe. I love that it goes well with the accent wall and the DIY vases I made. This is the dance space at my rental house, which I use as a music studio. It has these 3 niches and they installed glass shelves in it, which I didn't like, so I removed them and decided to hang 3 different wall paintings. Since this is a rental house and I'll move out one day, I wanted to create designs that works not only horizontally, but also vertically. I first started making drafts on paper. I strongly recommend doing this before you paint on a canvas so you can brainstorm different designs and make estimate measurements if needed. I drew a rectangle shape on a design website Canva. I used brown as I might make wooden floating frames in the future and I wanted to see how it looked with black and white designs. I printed it out and drew designs on it with a pencil and black marker. Then I chose the designs and cut each of them to see how they look together both horizontally and vertically. I got these 24 by 48 canvases at Michael's. I was lucky that they were on sale, so one canvas cost only $9 or so. The price might be different now, but I put the link to the product down below. These are the paint colors I chose. They had different grades, which were, I think, student, artist, and professional. The left one is beige, and I wanted to have a good beige, so I chose professional grade. And for black and white, I chose artist grade, which is more reasonable. I put the link down below. And since this is my first time trying acrylic paint, I had no idea what kind of brush I should get, so I chose this brush set, which cost only $5 or so. I also put the link down below. I actually made rough measurements for different shapes, and I used a tape measure and a right angle measure. If you have a long ruler to draw long straight lines, that would be great, but I actually just used the side of the canvas. Using masking tape was very helpful when I painted straight lines. For drawing circle shapes and curved lines, if you have some tools, that would be great. I found this one called the Rotating Tape Measure Beam Compass on Amazon. I put the link down below, but since I didn't have it, I used mystery tools, which I'll show you later. Then I started making drafts on canvases with a pencil. For this design, I divided the canvas into 5 equal parts vertically and divided in half horizontally. For curved lines, as you can see, these are not perfectly half circles, so I just roughly made curved lines without any tools. For the next design, I divided it in half horizontally. And as you can see, for long lines, I used the side of the canvas. And here are my mystery tools for drawing circles and curved lines. I have many different sized cooking bowls, but I didn't know they were so useful for more than just cooking. I drew the circle with the biggest bowl I had. Then I drew the lines 4 inches away from the edges that separate the black and white parts. For big curves, I used another mystery tool, which is my hat. Then I worked on the third design. I used the right angle measure to draw short vertical lines and small bowls to draw curved lines. I only drew outlines and didn't draw all the lines inside. I'm sorry it's kind of hard to see, but here are the drafts I made. I didn't have a painting stand, and since canvas is pretty big, I didn't want to put it on a desk. I just taped the plastic garbage bag on the wall and the floor and started painting. I first started with the beige color. For straight lines, I used masking tape. I actually didn't like the first attempt as the beige color I bought was a little bit browner and yellower than I thought, so I mixed white and just a tiny bit of black in the beige paint to create a kind of rusty light grayish beige color and painted the other parts to compare. To fix the part that I didn't like, I first wiped it with a baby wipe, and after it got kinda dried, I just painted it white over it. And then after it got dried again, I painted it with the mixed grayish beige over it. Then I continued painting the beige part. I let it dry for an hour or 2, then peeled off the masking tape. I realized I probably didn't need to use masking tape when I painted beige, since I needed to use the masking tape again to paint black lines. But I guess it was helpful to see perfect straight lines when I taped masking tape back on the canvas. Then I started painting straight lines with black. For this design, I didn't use masking tape and directly painted on the canvas. I made a couple of strokes to draw one line, leaving a distress touch on purpose. My biggest regret is that I actually should have drawn not only outlines but also all the lines on the canvas as a draft. I thought I could wing it, but painting curved lines was pretty difficult. But I think I did my best and I love the distress touch I made. And make sure to paint the side as well. After the black lines were dried, I peeled off the masking tape and I painted all the black parts. The reason I didn't paint everything first was because I wanted to see the balance without masking tape. I used a small brush to draw the curved lines. Honestly, it was very difficult, so I did it little by little. I was kind of trying to figure out how to paint the inside to leave a little bit of distressed touch. I kind of figured out it looks good if you paint vertically and horizontally, not just messing it around. Also, add a little bit of water in the paint to make the stroke smooth. It's okay even if you can't paint perfect curved line. I actually wanted to make the handmade touch, so I just painted tracing the pencil lines I drew. I didn't use any tools to paint circles. And here are the results. This was how the room looked before, and this is after. I also hung them vertically to see how they looked. I really love my first paintings. I'm very happy about the results. And I think it looks great in both ways.
Alright, I hope you like it. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And if you happen to be an artist or if you have experiences of acrylic paintings, please share your tips and experiences. I would love to hear. And if you like it, don't forget to hit the like button. Your one click makes me feel so happy and motivated to create more videos like this.